I just wanted to
It's either a half sheet of,
let everybody know kind of what's going on at
It's a
the
half
library
sheet.
real quick
Okay,
so
yeah.
that
so here, come on here.
um
Beautiful.
Anita can get
Look.
started here. So this Saturday, we have a program, if anybody's interested, called Have Library Will Travel. And I believe it's Sydney, our library director, who's going to be doing it. So if you want to learn about digital ebooks and audiobooks, if you don't already know how to get them for free through the library, they're great for summer travel and road trips and things. So she's going to be there to teach you about that and our digital newsstands where you can get access to things like the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal.
Ooh.
Art programs I actually don't have on the library yet for the summer, but I'll try to see if I can get them up there and whether we can do registration or not. I just have to double check if I have the links, but if not, I'll put the dates in the chat here. We're gonna do a painting series, so we're gonna have a few Tuesdays, a couple in July, the 22nd and 29th, and then August 5th at 6:30. And I'll get those that information on that out to you guys as well. So that'll be coming up too. And then in June, if anybody's interested, we've got some programs going on. We have a bunch in the spring lately. Let me just see real quick, so Anita can get started.
Yeah, take your time.
We have on June, where is it? Oh my goodness, there's too many. I can't even see. June 18th is a Wednesday. We have the history of Juneteenth and how it became a holiday. So we will have a history teacher, former history teacher here to talk about the history of all of that. On the 16th, we have a finance program, market volatility and emotional investing, which I hear is a hot topic right now. That's at 6:30. That's on a Monday, June 16th. We have oh, we have another drawing. I'm sorry. June, we're still in our drawing series. June
Yeah.
20th. If you haven't registered, we've got our colored pencil message in a bottle. I'll put that link in the chat. That's going on the June 30th. We have the power of habit about creating good habits to transform your lives. Doylestown Health will be there doing that. And I forgot June 20th. We have top 10 scams against seniors at 10:30 a.m., which has also been rescheduled. So I'll try to throw all these in the chat and we'll let Anita get started.
Oh, thanks, Chrissy. That's awesome. Lots of exciting stuff happening. All right, so I'm going to spotlight for everyone. Good evening and welcome to the Colored Pencil Sunset Penguin drawing. We're going to be using our pencil first and lots of colored pencils. So I will remind you as we're coming up upon the colors, but those are in the chat. If you can't see those, just let me know. And Chrissy is just adding in the chat some of the other programs that are going to be happening. And as soon as I get those registration links too, I will feature those in the newsletter. So stay tuned for those. All right, so we're going to get started here. As you can see, this is actually a small drawing. This is either, you could use either a half sheet of an 8.5 by 11 piece of printer paper, or this is actually 8.5 by 5. I think it's like 5.5 inches drawing paper that I have. So we will get started doing the drawing, and then you want to make sure that you're drawing lightly so that we can erase or lighten up the pencil and add colored pencil. So let's get started with the background first. So we're going to start off first over here on the left. And so we're going to come down probably, I don't know, maybe 4 inches or so. No, not really. Maybe 3.5 inches or so. And we're going to start off with our ice that's happening in the background on top of the water. So I'm going to be drawing darker so you can see it. So it kind of is like a pyramid shape, right? It's pointy. And then we start to go across, and we're going to leave room for our penguin. And so we're going to start off creating our penguin. So I also just want to remind everybody that to go on speaker view if you are not, so that you can see it large. I have it spotlighted. Okay, so starting off now with our penguin. So we're going to start off and we're going to make the shape of him. And first, we're going to create his little arm here. And then his belly. So his belly is going like this. Oh, let me fix that. We want his arm, just a little part of it that you can see on the other side. And we go up for his head. And so what you've seen me do here is create the round part for the bottom of his head. And his head is kind of circular. And then his beak goes up in the air, very pointy. And I'll give everybody time in order to do this. I'm going to go in a little bit closer here. Hope everyone's doing well on this rainy evening. And so you want to create some of those details too for usually, I know I don't have us go in on the details, but since this is a smaller piece, we're going to do that. Oh, I love it. Chrissy's putting all these really awesome programs in the chat. You make his little eye right there. You want to make sure that his beak is curved. And then we're going to continue with the rest of his body. And so we start off right at the top of the back of his head. And then we go down. And what we're doing right now is making his tail. And then we're also going to make the rest of sort of the black part on him over here. So that means the side where his other arm is happening, right? So it's curving around. And you may have to adjust the shape and the length. I have to make this a little bit wider here. This is the back of him and his tail. Little tail feathers happening over here. And then we have the rest of his, the bottom part where his legs are. And there's a little bit of fur right here. So again, I'm going to give you all time in order to do this. I'm just kind of drawing it in first so that you can see. Now, if you notice, this leg appears to be a little bit shorter. It's not really, it's just back. And this one is more forward because of the way he is standing. So I'm going to let everybody finish up with that. Your penguin should be definitely down from where the top part of your horizon is. We can go in and kind of draw in another sort of point when you are ready. That's a bit of the choppy water happening. I'm going to fix his arm a little bit. I want it to be a little more away from his body. And just a slight curve here. And we have our penguin. I'm also going to show this up close just so you can see the feet and everything that's happening here. I have to erase some of my lines. And I have to make his arm just slightly shorter and bring his tail feathers down a little bit. Curve that arm around. And there we go. Okay, so we're going to continue in the background here. Oh, I think we just got somebody coming on in. Okay, Kathy is coming in. Hi, Kathy, welcome. We started a few minutes ago, but welcome. And I'm going to recopy the information in the chat. And this is being recorded, so whatever you missed, you can catch up on at a later date. But it's great to have you, as always. Okay. So going back to our background here. So we have some ice happening here. So we're going to make this look a little three-dimensional by adding these lines. And because the ice is sitting on the water, we have some of these lines happening as well. And we have two pieces of ice that are off on the side to the right. So we start off here. We make the edges of our ice, and then we come on over to the right side. And we also have some little icebergs too that are off to the side. Sure, Kathy, absolutely. We'll definitely send that out to you. Let me write that down. Kathy, if I don't know if I have your email, if you could put your email in my personal chat, that would be great. Send Kathy recording. I could also get it from Chrissy too. Okay, so we have these little icebergs off to the side. They're sort of triangular. And then we're going to create the big iceberg that our penguin is on. And we're going to start by his foot here. And so make sure that he's standing on it. We're going to go straight and then little bit pointy, right? So we're just kind of making a sort of some three-dimensional ice here. And then, oh, thank you, Kathy. Perfect. Thank you for that private message. So we're going to go out a little bit here. Go in just a little, and then we go outwards. I'm going to make a little bit of a bump here. And then we go inward to the right side of our paper. And then we finish off in the back with a little bit of another bump here. Oops. I'm going to move my one ice thing just a little bit up and this one a little bit down, just because I had it a little too big there. Okay, there we go. All right, now that we have that, we're going to create some shapes inside of here as well, just very lightly, so that when we start to color, we know that we are supposed to kind of create them in this shape. So this is the edge of the ice, and we want that to look a little more three-dimensional. And then the last part that we're going to be doing are the two pieces of ice on the left side. And they are right up against the left side of our paper. So take your time with finishing up this part. We are almost ready to start using our colored pencils. Okay, so we're going to go to the left side here, and we're going to go toward the back. And first we're going to create one piece of ice here. And then we have one that is right near it. It's sort of in the back. The bottom part is always going to look flat because it is on the water. Now you want to make sure and take a look and see if you have everything. Oh, we've got one more. I forgot. We've got one more little piece right here of ice. Almost forgot about this one because it's kind of in the background there. Now, what you want to do is just lighten up your pencil because we're going to start getting into color. And we are going to start off first with the sky. So I'm just lightening up my lines. And for the sky, we are going to need the following colors: magenta or a pink. We're also going to be using pink. So if you don't have a magenta, you can use a red, you can use a purple. It doesn't have to exactly be magenta if you don't have it. But if you do, magenta, pink, yellow, and orange. So those are the first colors that we are going to start off with. And we're going to start off first with the yellow. So I'm going to move these over for now, right up above. Well, you can't really see that it's above, but it is. And we're going to start off with our yellow. And I'm going to move in even closer now so that you're able to see. So with our yellow, we want our yellow to be around our penguin. And we're also going to go on the top part of his chest. So first, we're going to color kind of like this because the sky, or I should say the sun, has added some yellow. And for now, we want to go light, but we'll go back and we'll make it a little darker. So that's right around him. And then we also want to go on the chest to about right here. So we start from his neck and then we go on his chest, but not down to his belly. And then we're going to put our yellow aside for now. And we're going to pick up our orange. So to make the sky look colorful, we're going to be creating lines of color, strokes of color. And so, for instance, we're going to be going in a diagonal way. So we're going to start off at the top left corner, and we're just going to start creating strokes like this, leaving some of the paper or a lot of the paper white. So we're just getting some of that orange in, and then we're going to layer it with the magenta and the pink. The sky is mostly magenta and pink. And again, if you don't have those colors, you can use, well, if you don't have pink, you could even use red and do it very lightly. So that's another option. So right now, I just added very lightly the orange. And then we're going to pick up our magenta. And so with our magenta, we're going to go right up against our iceberg on the side of the sky. And we're going to shade in that spot just a little bit. Like so. Now we're still going to add those strokes. So you're going to start right above, and then you're going to start creating strokes of the magenta. Now we're going towards the penguin, but we're concentrating the magenta color up against the sky, but on right behind our ice here. And we're starting off on the left side with the magenta, and then we're going to keep going with our strokes across the sky. So the magenta is coloring, using it to color in on the left. It's more concentrated, the color. So you can do some shading. We're also going to go back and layer in with some more orange and yellow. But you can vary your strokes by coloring in a little bit darker in some spots. It all depends what you want your sky to look like. And then as you're going across behind your penguin, you're adding strokes until you get to the bottom of the sky up against where the ice is again. And you're going to start doing a little more shading with your color. And when you're ready, you can start getting even darker with your application. Think of it like, when you've seen skies that almost look like cotton candy, and especially the color pink. And it's just, those colors are kind of streaking across the sky. It's kind of what we're trying to do here. And then I like to go back and add in darker strokes of the orange. Especially on the pink side, on top of the pink. So it's just going to make that pink even richer. And even a little bit on the yellow. And then I like to add a little more yellow. Nice colorful sky. And you can introduce regular pink in there too, if you have it. Once you have all of those layered colors. And on the left side, if you want to make it a little darker, don't be afraid to color the other way, going up and down to make it a little darker. Just adding some more strokes of pink here. If you want to make it a little darker, again, you can add some orange. So here I am just adding a little more orange to make it a little more fiery on the pink side. But you don't have to. We are about to move into the water. Oh, John Paul, that looks beautiful. Very nice. I love it. So we're going to pick up our yellow again. And we're going to go into our water. So we're going to do our water first. And then we're going to create our icebergs. And then we're going to go back to our penguin. So let's pick up our yellow. And we have some yellow in the water right behind our penguin. So a little bit of water, a little bit of yellow on the left side. And then let's not forget on the right side. And again, we're making strokes of color. I'm going to go really close. Okay, so we've just got some yellow over there. We can bring a little bit over to about right here. And then we're going to pick up our light blue. So if you're using Crayola, it's sky blue. I'm using Crayola, so I'm using a sky blue. So anything that is a light blue. The blues that we are using are light blue and a regular blue. This almost looks purple, but it serves as like a dark blue. See, that is just blue. So just so you know, so you can get that blue ready as well. But right now we're going to be using our light blue. And so we're going to first go into the first iceberg here on the left. And what we're going to do is we've got some shading to make it look three-dimensional because it's sort of a triangular shape or like a pyramid shape. So we're going to go over, let me see if I can kind of zoom in, move on over here just to show you. I have this, whoops, sorry about that. I have this taped down. But so we're going to go in and we're going to start on the left side and we're going to start creating a little bit of a shadow using the light blue. And then we're going to go over to the right and we're going to add some shading along the bottom. So let's do that. Okay, so now going in here, I'm going to add some shading. It's going to go into the water as well. You know, we'll go back later and add the blue, but for now we're adding the light blue. And we're going to go into the other side toward the bottom as well. Don't forget to go behind your penguin if that makes sense. We're actually going to go straight across back here, but we're going to end up going into the next iceberg here. And so we're doing the shading. So again, these are very pyramid shaped. So the shading would be on the darker side that's sloping. So that's this side here. And the same with this tiny one here on the right side. And we're going to be doing the same with these two as well. So you can see that there is some blue in the water right underneath each. And we're just talking about the light blue for now. And we're going to go on top of the ice as well. So let's do that. So here we are coming over here. I'm going to use my light blue for the bottom portion and kind of around the other side. And then just add a little bit of some shading like so. And same with the other one. We're going to add a little bit of blue, some line work right here. And so it's going to turn green when it hits the yellow. So we're going to be adding strokes of color to imitate the water. So we want the other colors to shine through. So what I'm doing here is adding some light blue to the bottom portion into the water here. We're also going to go across and add some blue to the water around this iceberg and the next one. Now we're going to start creating strokes going across like this. So first we're going to go to the bottom portion here of the big iceberg. And let me just lighten mine up just a little bit here. Okay. So we're going to take our light blue and we're going to trace around the bottom of the iceberg using our light blue. We're also going to lightly trace inside the iceberg where we created these shapes here. So it's kind of going to go up and down like a wave. And I'm going to then erase my pencil away so that it is now just colored pencil. And you can do the same. You can still erase pencil underneath colored pencil. So I'm going to make that just a little bit darker. And then we're going to start to shade in on our iceberg. So here's what we're going to do with the iceberg. So we leave parts of the white of the paper as the brightest parts of the iceberg. So we kind of do some almost like scratching or scribbling in place to create texture. And we leave a line of white here and across, whoops, and here. So let's work on that. So again, we're using our blue. We're going to start here, and we're also going to leave a line of white on the edge of our iceberg because the sun is hitting that. So the way we do that is we can kind of draw a little bit of a blue line, a very light one, right next to the edge so that we know that we are not going to go past that line. And then you're going to start shading. And so you're going to keep picking up your pencil. So you're kind of like scratching. I feel like it's scratching, right? And so we're going to go around toward the bottom where we have the two bumps. And we're also going to leave some white space along the edge of this part as well. So it should look a little something like that. And then we're going to come up right underneath our penguin, and we're going to make it a little bit darker. We're going to color in right underneath where his feet are and in between, because there would be a shadow there of him standing. And also to the right of him, like this. Also to the left of his foot, this foot here, we have a little bit of a shadow that looks like this, sort of a line. And on the right side here, so we have, you can see the white of the paper there. So what you want to do is we're making sort of a pointed part using our shading. So we scribble around this white line that is imaginary. We scribble almost in the shape of next to the line. So for instance, here we are, and we want it to look like it's coming to a point, and it's also kind of curving up. So you can shade in a curved way, like this. And then you make an individual you shade again, but leave some white space, like you're creating a wave. And you do the same, finishing off in the middle here, but leaving white space. Oh, wow, John Paul, that's beautiful. Yes. And this will be really vibrant once we add our blues in and our pink. So it will get a lot more, um, it'll make a lot more sense. We're laying in the lighter colors at first. So now let's start going to the front portion of our drawing here in the water. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to start back here to the left. And so we have all of this blue that's happening first. And so we're going to take care of that. So we're going to start making lines with our blue going across, or strokes, right? And then right underneath, we're going to start coloring in till about right, we're going to add it till about right here. But we're going to start coloring in or shading in just in this portion, going all the way down to our paper. And now we're going to get lighter, or continue staying light, I guess I should say. And on the left side of our paper, we're also going to be making more strokes of color using our blue. But so what we're doing is we're thinking about waves and the water. And so sometimes maybe we color in a spot and then we create a line. And then we color in, and then we create a line. Color in and create a line so that we're making sort of like ripples in the water. And we're going to be adding more lines. And remember, you can go in and color in the side of your paper by going up and down and then going back and making strokes across. And then on the right side of the water, you're also going to kind of do the same thing, skip spaces and then add your blue all the way down to the bottom of your paper. And when you're ready, you're going to put that aside and you're going to pick up your pink. So we're going to pick up our pink and we're going to start in the back again. We're going to add a little bit of pink to the right side of our iceberg here in the back and in the water. Here again, making strokes. You're going on top of the yellow. So we're in the water with our pink. So, and you're going up to the left side of our iceberg here and kind of coloring in the water, making strokes of pink. And we're going to hang out on the left side here with the pink in the water, creating strokes of pink. Right on top of our blue. So that's on the left side. You can see that I've got some, light pink here. We're also going to go on the right side or right underneath, or I should say, I'm sorry, on top of the blue that we just created in the middle. So we can add kind of a smattering of pink on top of it. And that's going to bring us to the right side where we go back in the back here and add some pink shading to the back and along on the blue with the icebergs and in the water. So again, since this is water, we're coloring in strokes, lines, almost like ripples. And then we're going to put our pink down for now. And we are going to grab our regular blue. So it's about to look darker now. And we're going to start off again in our back. And we're going to add a little bit of some blue shading right on top of the blue of our iceberg back here. And so again, we're doing sort of a scribbling. We're going to go into the water and make it darker right where the iceberg is meeting the water. So see here, right where the iceberg is meeting the water. Hi, ladies. So we just picked up our blue, our regular blue, and we're defining on the left side, the icebergs. We're going to go into the next one here. And again, add a little bit of some shading, but really go underneath where it meets in the water. And we're going to shade a little bit, and it's going to turn green because you've got some yellow there. And we're going to continue over on the right side as well. Again, slightly kind of outlining just a little bit of the iceberg, but when we get to the bottom, when it hits the water, yep, you go darker. And same with the other one. So remember, when you hit the water, it goes darker underneath. And we're going to do the same as we move to the left side here. And we're going to outline underneath this iceberg and the next one. Again, this is still with our blue. So we're going to outline underneath. Then we add just a little bit of some shading with the blue in the water right underneath. And then a little bit of shading on top of the other blue in the iceberg. So it was something like that. I can't wait to see what these look like. This is some more high level colored pencil stuff. So I think I'm going to be very impressed by all of you. So we're going to continue and we're going to get into the big, oh, very nice, John Paul. Beautiful. I love it already. We're going to get into the big iceberg. And so we're going to go underneath. Yep. And we're going to outline. So we're going to outline along the edge here. Because there would be a shadow right where the ice and the water meet. So you can go dark. And to make it look like water, we're going to go right here to the left side, and we're just going to pull a little bit of some of that blue. And if you see that, that already makes it look like it's sitting on water. And those strokes, we're going to continue doing that throughout the rest of the water. But first, we're going to go back up into our ice. And we're going to go right underneath our little penguin's legs again. And we're going to make them, the ice under there, just a little bit dark with the blue. So we still want all our colors to shine through. So we're just going to be kind of adding shading, right? I'm kind of coloring in on spots. So see, we still have, you can still see the light blue, but I'm adding the dark blue on top. So that's kind of what we're doing. And I'm going to go in really close now so that you can see. So we're now adding strokes of blue to define a little more of the ice. All around. So like some of the darker parts, you know, maybe you kind of scribble in a little bit of dark blue. And I like to kind of make a cut in the ice right here by making a dark line and then kind of shade, oops, let me move this a little more, along that line using the blue. So again, I'm adding strokes of the dark blue on top. And then you can go back using your light blue again, and you can color in and make certain parts a little darker. So I like to make, using the light blue, color in right here along the edge of the ice on this side. And then a little bit along the line here in front. And I kind of go back and forth. We're going to add a little bit of purple too, which is next. Ooh, that looks great, John Paul. Very nice. So we're going to add a little bit of purple, some scribbling of purple. Again, this is darker, so you just want to add a little bit. I like to add you know, some little spots. In kind of the darkest areas, the parts that I would want to be a little darker. And then you're going to put that down and you're going to pick up your regular blue. And we're really going to start creating all the lines, the darker lines that are happening in the water. And so we're going to pick up our blue and we're going to start back here. And we're going to start making, so this is our blue. We're going to be using our purple too and a little bit of lavender after. But we're going to start kind of lightly adding strokes like this. And we're going to be going across right underneath our big iceberg here. And then we're going to start really making, you know, adding more pressure and making the lines darker in the middle here. And then here on the left, we're going to add some more kind of shading to make it look like water, like the ripples in water. And then we're going to take our lavender. So now we're picking up, you know, our light purple or lavender. First, we're going to go back into our sky and we're just going to add some lavender where the pink is, especially in the back, right up against our first, the ice. We're going to add some shading of lavender and take those strokes into the sky. Oops, my lavender just broke, so I'm going to sharpen it. Keep going with the strokes in the sky. All right, folks, hold on a second. Sorry, still sharpening the lavender. Okay, finally. All right, so now we're adding more lines using our lavender in the sky, especially at the bottom of the sky where we want it a little bit darker with the pink. And then we're going to go into our big iceberg and just add kind of a light layer of lavender on top of the blue, kind of like we're kind of coloring a little bit, just a lightness of lavender there. And then when you're done, you're going to go into the blue in the water, and you're really going to push and add lavender there. So that you can now see a bit more of, purpley coming through. But you're now going to then, after that, pick up your light blue. And here's where we're really going to start layering. Because we're actually going to go right underneath. Oops. Sorry, guys.
I go there. Okay. There you go.
Sorry about that. It looks like I'm.
No worries. I don't know if my Zoom kicked you off, but I'm glad you're back on.
Yeah, because my computer, because my mother's computer went.
The battery died, so it just turned off.
Got it. It happens. I'm glad you're back on. Yay.
Could you tell me about the lavender? I just missed out.
Sure. Yeah, sure. So with the lavender, you're going to go into
to the sky.
Yep, into the sky. And then you're going to lightly shade on top of the big iceberg.
The iceberg should do it.
Yep.
What do you think, Mom?
Yep.
You're doing well. Looks good.
Looks good. Yeah. Whew, close one.
I agree. I agree. You're good. You're good. I know. And then you're also going to go into, see all that blue? You're going to go into all that blue with your lavender. And when you're done with that, this is where we're really going to start layering our light blue and our blue in the water. And our last part's going to be our senior penguin. But we're going to take our light blue and we're going to really start going dark now, right underneath our big iceberg, and you're going to kind of color it. You're going to start coloring it in, and you're going to color it in the back of it. But you still want to make sure that you can see all the other colors. So when you're shading it in, you're shading lighter on the left. And now you're going to lightly shade again and make some more lines that are a little darker using your light blue in the water. Going all the way down on the left side. And you're going to repeat on the right side as well. But first, again, we're going back up into our blue. And now you're really going to press and kind of scribble that in all the way down to the bottom of your page. And on the right side, you're going to color in a little darker on the right side, right up where your iceberg is. And you can add some more blue sections as you're going down the right side of your page. And then you're going to grab your regular blue again. Actually, I'm sorry, grab your purple. So scratch that, grab your purple, sorry. You're now going to really outline, once again, underneath your iceberg. And you're now going to start making lines of purple on top of your blue. And so it should look like, thick lines going all down your page. And then we're going to grab our blue one more time. So not our light blue, but the blue that looks like a dark blue. And now we're going to start coloring in over all of this color. So going again underneath our ice here. We're even going to color in a little bit on the left side of our water. And then you're going to go on the right side and really press on your blue. And then going into the right side of the dark area of the water. And you're going to make the right side of it dark blue. And you can also add kind of some smatterings of the dark blue. It's blue, but we'll call it dark blue. You want to make sure to make it pretty dark right underneath your ice. And then sometimes I go back and just add a little more on top of my my ice. If it's not dark enough, I just go back and just shade a little more. And then we're going to go and now complete our penguin. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab black and we are going to outline our penguin in black. Ooh, John Paul, that looks incredible. Very nice. Okay, so we're going to start at the top and we're going to outline his beak. His face. the part around the right side of his head. And let's not forget his eye, but he's got a little eye in between there that you can add as black. And I'm now going to go in really close since we are doing our penguin. We're going to outline the rest of him, making sure at the bottom he's got feathers there, right at the bottom there. So you want to kind of make that line jagged. Outlining his feet. His arms. His black coat and his feathers in the back. Now we're going to go on his beak, and on the tip, we color it in a little bit black and make it pointy if yours isn't. And then we go across the top and just do a little bit of some coloring in of black. So again, on his beak, we make it pointy. We go in on the top part and color in a little bit of black. And we're going to put our black down for a little bit. And we're going to grab our purple, or actually first our lavender. And we're going to color in his head with lavender. We're also going to very lightly shade in where the black will be, some lavender, but not the whole thing. We're going to leave spots that are the white of the paper. So you can see I'm shading in some lavender, but leaving some spots the white of the paper. We're going to put that down and grab our yellow. We're going to color in this little spot on his head yellow. We're also going to color in the rest of his beak yellow. And then we're going to pick up our orange. We're going to color his beak orange on top of the yellow. And then the little part of his head here, we're going to color the pointed part orange so that it kind of looks like it is sort of fading into the yellow. And then we're going to do the same thing on his chest. We're going to color in the top part orange, and we're going to fade it into the yellow, going a little bit lighter as we approach the yellow. So you can kind of almost make little strokes of orange doing that. So now it kind of looks almost like a sunset. But our final part is going to be adding our red. We finally use our red. Just for this one part. That's it. Pretty funny, right? So the red, well, okay, 3 parts. So again, we're going to go onto our beak, and we're going to add red at the top part of the beak. So that part there. And same with the part that we colored orange in this section. Just a little bit of red there. And same with his neck. So a little bit of red here on top. And so now it looks like a sunset, right, on his chest. Just a little bit. And you can put away your red. And we're going to grab our light blue. So our light blue is going to go first on the left side of his arm. So color that in, the whole thing light blue. And then we're going to color on his chest, where we make strokes of light blue. We still have the white showing through. And then you're going to add a little bit darker right at the bottom by coloring in a little of the bottom and up underneath where his other wing is. And you're going to color in his feet light blue. He has lots of colors. You're also going to continue with this blue on top of the purple on the right side of where his right arm is. Actually, that's his left arm. And in his coat. So we're now making it, it's looking like a purpley blue. And you're now going to grab your regular blue and go into his feet. And we're going to make some wrinkles in his feet. So first, kind of color it in, but there's a wrinkle right where his leg, oh, there goes my black right off of the, oops. So see that that line there? So you color it in, but then you make the line that separates his toes from his feet. Okay. We're going to keep with this blue. Oh, John Paul, that looks awesome. And we're going to go into the penguin on his belly, and we're going to make some dark blue lines on top of the light blue. And then color in at the bottom. We're also going to take this blue on the left side of his fin. We're going to color on top of the light blue, but we're going to add kind of strokes on top of the blue, the light blue, by using the dark blue. And then getting into his coat, we're going to make a strip using the dark blue. And then starting to go into the rest of him by making parts of it a little bit darker, almost like outlining. And shading. Our final step is taking our black. We're now going to take our black. We're going to color in on his face, but we're going to start at the bottom and we're coloring that in black up to his beak. But then as we get to the top of his head, we're going to let the purple shine through a little more by lightly shading the black. So that the purple is still shining through. You know, you can continue to outline his head a little more. We're going to go on his arm here and make a line and make that black. And we're going to go to the other side of him. Make another curved line using our black. And we're going to start to make some of his feathers black on the other side. And you can do a little bit of shading with your black on his arm, kind of where the tip is and along the side where it's resting against his body. And in some of the parts that are a little darker. And our last part is we just add a little bit of pink on his chest. I am so curious to see what everyone's looks like. So I'm going to remove my spotlight. Remove spotlight, and I'm going to stop the recording.